Well, welcome back to the program. Adam Andrzejewski, he's CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com. Adam, how's it going?
Great to be with you today, Stu. Thank you for your interest in our work.
I appreciate you doing this. You know, I like the idea of opening the books. I will say, though, right now, I kind of want to forget it and keep the books closed. I don't want to know. I feel like I just don't want to know all the terrible things that have happened. Can you walk us through some of the stuff that has gone on in Afghanistan and how we've apparently supplied the Taliban into one of the most heavily armed militaries in the world?
Well, Stu, our auditors quantified the American treasure into the Afghan security forces since 2001, and it's a stunning $83 billion. We've been very generous with Afghanistan in building the war chest of the Afghanistan forces. But as you know, the Taliban overran the country, and now they control the entire war chest, and it's absolutely stunning. Even the 2021 congressional appropriation into the Afghan security forces was $3 billion. And at the end of the day, what did we create? What's sustainable? They ran within days of the United States leaving the region.
It really is an incredible development. I think especially after spending 20 years doing this, that this is how this has ended up. You have a piece in Forbes, Staggering Costs, U.S. military equipment left behind in Afghanistan. You itemize everything from communications equipment, vehicles, weapons, explosives, intelligence, aircraft, and you go through all of it in a lot of detail. Can you give me a sense as to some of the crazier items on here and some of them that are the most dangerous and clearly doing damage now to people who used to be working with us in Afghanistan?
So the most dangerous idea is that our hasty withdrawal, we've just given the Taliban license to become a major U.S. arms dealer for the next decade. Stu, let's walk through some high-level numbers here. We've turned over 75,000 military vehicles to the Taliban. Under U.S. law, the Taliban is classified as a terrorist organization. Those 75,000 vehicles, they're comprised of 50,000 tactical vehicles, 22,000 Humvees. An individual Humvee can cost up to $300,000 at the high end. Most of them are in the range of $90,000 to $100,000. It's a treasure trove of Humvees. You've got nearly 1,000 mine-resistant vehicles. A mine-resistant vehicle on the high end can cost $750,000. You've got armored personnel carriers, about 200 of those that are left in Afghanistan. And then let's get to the airplanes, because it gets worse when you get to the airplanes and the helicopters. There's about 208 airplanes and helicopters left. Here's the detail on just 20 airplanes. They're the super attack airplanes, the A-29s. Each one of those costs $21.3 million. Helicopters like the Black Hawks that are left behind cost $21 million. And this is all left under Taliban control.
This is why you're depressing me. This is why I did not want to open the books. I didn't want to, and now we're opening them, and I hate it. I mean, this is so depressing because not only did this not lead to something, it's now going to make things worse for the people on the ground. I mean, we're being threatened right now at this airport with our own weapons.
Well, we can't get our people out because our people, 15,000 people and maybe 50,000 Afghanis that helped us, we need to get them out of the country. So we can't go in and destroy these weapons. And let me tell you, bad actors from around the world, i.e. China and Russia, they want to know our military secrets. So this is quite simply a military security nightmare. Our secrets, they're going to be in there. They're going to be paying off the Taliban for access to our secrets. For example, we've got PC-12 aircraft. These are reconnaissance and surveillance aircraft. They're highly specified in terms of technology. The Chinese and the Russians, they want to know those secrets, and they're going to be in there learning our secrets, and therefore America is much more unsafe today than ever before.
This is unbelievable. Every single turn around the corner in this story gets me more and more irritated. Can you go?
Stu, I want to discuss just the rank and file weaponry as well.
Sure, yeah.
I mean,
please.
There's a huge story here. We lost up to $200 million worth of drones back in 2017, and we didn't learn any lessons. We gave these drones to the Afghan security forces so they could defend themselves. They never used them, and then they quote unquote lost them. There was an audit report written, and that audit report on the federal websites under the Biden administration has now disappeared. But you can come to OpenTheBooks.com or hit our Forbes piece, and we proactively captured that audit and we posted online. There are 600,000 weapons that are floating around in the country of Afghanistan now, and we don't know where they are. There's 350 M4s and M16 rifles. There are 60,000 machine guns. There's 25,000 grenade launchers. Stu, there are 2,600 howitzers, the modern military cannon that can take down a bridge or road. We have no idea in country where they are.
Or take out the runway of an airport when you're trying to evacuate thousands and thousands of people, not to mention that. It's really perplexing here. And it's not just this. We also spent millions, $800 million by your count, I kid you not, to encourage the Taliban and others to respect women. Did that $800 million turn the tables, and do they respect women now?
This might be the largest failure of a public relations campaign in the history of the country. So it's not only $800 million that was directly spent on the Respect Women campaign for the Taliban and other groups, but it was also about $4 billion extra dollars, Stu, about $4 billion extra dollars on other programs that incorporated the Respect Women campaign and tenets into their own program. So all told, we got about $4 or $5 billion out of this Respect Women program, and it's hashtag failure across the board.
You know, let me step back for a minute and try to put the best possible spin on this. This is obviously a failure because of the way this withdrawal occurred. I mean, we could have withdrawn with a lot of this equipment if we were going to give the country up and maybe at least minimize the damage here. And so a lot of this has to do with just the disastrous way this has occurred at the end. But like, there's an idea that going into war is going to be an inefficient process. I mean, I always make the point that anything the federal government is going to be in control of, you have to expect inefficiency, and anything that you want them to do, you have to be able to essentially withstand some inefficiency. You have to understand that there's going to be waste. And at some level, the military effort, you think of, go back to September 11th and put yourself in that mindset. I was pretty much okay being a little inefficient with our spending if this was going to come to a positive outcome. Is this something we should look at it like, should we just look at this and say, every one of these overseas adventures winds up ending this same way, and this is just a reason to just never do them?
Well, Stu, that was the trade, right? We were sold on the concept, and maybe it was successful, that we went to Afghanistan to fight them there so we wouldn't have to fight them on the home turf. Right. But at the end of the day, we have to ask what government program is running well. So even in Afghanistan, we spent $10 billion on an anti-narcotics campaign. It was, again, no measurable results. Even the UN had to concede, and they called Afghanistan a narco state. So, I mean, I don't know at the end of the day what was sustainable. What we built in Afghanistan, it looks like nothing was sustainable after about $1 trillion of American treasure.
You know, I have to say, I think if this is ever going to happen again, which I really don't want it to, but I mean, I'm not an isolationist. I understand that sometimes we're going to be in the middle of these bad situations, but it's almost as if we should have a way, like, for example, drones. They should not be able to operate if we don't want them to operate. If we're going to give drones to the Afghanistan government and they are going to be in the hand of their military and their country gets taken over, we should have a disable button. I mean, these things, I really think we need to start thinking about ways to make sure that if something like this does occur again, the other side can't just grab control of these things and use them against us. I mean, just think of the advantage that we've had in these wartime areas with just night vision goggles. I mean, you go through this in the piece, they have tons of these things now and are able to compete with any military that happens to be there, not to mention regular everyday citizens, women, children alike, in night vision context. I mean, that's an incredible advantage at wartime.
Just the night vision gear, we quantified 66,000 pieces of night vision. It could be $80 to $100 million worth of American cost into the night vision devices, sophisticated devices, thermal devices, devices that could be put on sniper rifles and vastly upgrade the capabilities of the Taliban shooters. Look, this is a Taliban terrorist gun show that's not going to end anytime soon because the Biden administration orchestrated such an unorganized and hasty withdrawal.
It's hard to imagine it going worse, but I guess I just have to stay tuned to the news tomorrow, because every single day I say that, it seems to get worse the next day. Adam Andrzejewski, CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks. He's got a piece on Forbes, Staggering Costs, U.S. military equipment left behind in Afghanistan. Also, Real Clear Policy has failure. U.S. spent $800 million to encourage the Taliban and others to respect women. OpenTheBooks.com has all this stuff up there, and you can go through it and see. I mean, you know, we're talking 599,690 weapons that we've basically just donated to the Taliban. That is the world we live in. Adam, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Stu.